Paul has said is one of the people he learns a lot from. Peter Schiff, again, is our guest. Peter, let's get into it right now. You talked about police agencies not having enough money. They swole the size of police agencies from 500,000 to several million in the last decade. Now the police admit they're out writing more tickets and fines and fees to try to raise money, but of the people, you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip or a stone, as the old sayings go. The states are talking about going bankrupt, the pension funds, the state pension funds, the police pension funds. I mean, if all of that goes bankrupt, what are we, or even part of it, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, look, it's tough. Look, this is the natural consequence of all this debt, all this borrowing to consume. And that's how come, our economy was phony. We were paying for it by going into debt. And everybody, when I would bring this up and talk about all the debt, people would criticize me by saying, look, I'm only looking at half the balance sheet. I'm not looking at all the assets. And so we have all these assets, so the debt is okay. Well, what were the assets? The assets were stocks and real estate. But what good are those assets? I mean, it's not like we can hock them all to the Chinese. We have to pay interest on the debt. And if we can't service the debt, it doesn't matter about the assets. And, of course, when you have to sell your assets, the prices collapse. I mean, our houses are only worth a lot of money, assuming that nobody wants to sell them. But the minute everybody needs to sell their house, there's nobody to buy it. What's your house worth? It's worth a fraction of what we were pretending it was worth when we tried to pretend that all this debt didn't matter. But it does matter. And now the bills are coming due, and we can't pay. In the meantime, what made us wealthy in the first place, our industrial might, our ability to produce, that's gone because we've been living off the productivity of everybody else as we've been accumulating all this debt.
Looking specifically at CalPERS out in California and other states, where do you see the biggest problems? What do you see to be the next domino to fall? States going bankrupt? I saw a headline in mainstream news yesterday of 48 states may go into bankruptcy.
I think California is, on the verge, if they haven't already done so, of paying some of their bills with IOUs. And ultimately, I think Barack Obama, and the government have mentioned a desire to give money to the states. And I think some of this new bailout bill, stimulus bill, whatever they call it, that they're passing, I think it has some money for the states so that the states don't have to make cuts. Well, that's the wrong thing to do. The states need to make cuts. The states are bloated. We need reductions there. If we're just going to print money and give it to the states so they don't make necessary cuts, we're just making the underlying problems worse.
And that's just going to inflate the currency more, isn't it?
Well, that's all they're doing. They have to print money. Now, they're hoping that they can keep borrowing the money from the Chinese and the Japanese and the Saudis, but the world is suffering right now from all the money they loaned us in the past that we can't pay back. Why should they sign up to loan us even more?
Could it get to Zimbabwean level?
It could. I mean, there's no difference between our money and theirs. It's just paper. And I'm hoping it doesn't get that bad, but it will get that bad if we do not change course. We need to make a conscious decision to reverse our course and to accept whatever pain the recession is going to dole out, because there's no way around it. It's trying to avoid the pain, trying to accept from dealing with reality. That's why you end up with a hyperinflation scenario, because you refuse to bite the bullet. And so instead, you die from the wound.
Yeah, I've got a list of the $900 million now stimulus package, and it's for cities to build new golf courses, like right here in Austin, a river walk.
Think about it. Think about how ridiculous that sounds. We are in we're in trouble, right? We borrowed and spent too much money. We need to dig in our horns. We need to sacrifice. We need to save more and stop spending. And what's their solution? Build more golf courses? I mean, they got to be crazy. How is another golf course going to make us more productive? We need a factory. We need to make things. We don't need more golf courses. We've got plenty of golf courses.
Well, people aren't going to have money to spend at the golf course.
Well, we don't have the money to build the golf courses. How are we gonna use the golf courses to pay for our exports? I mean, are the Japanese really going to fly over here to play golf in our courses so that we can pay? This is nonsense.
Well, also, this is a global implosion. I mean, Japan's on the edge of the abyss. Russia's plunging into it. China's growth rate projected to go from 10 to 4%.
More golf courses. I mean, why don't they say why don't we build more polo fields, and how about marinas so we so we have more places to put our yachts.
Sir, that's actually in there. I mean, it's actually in there for yacht marinas, so they are going to do that. Because, they've stolen all this money from us there and they need to park their yacht somewhere. Peter Schiff, stay with us. We'll be right back with more key information, your calls.